I would say I'm a librarian, not a teacher, but of course I am a teacher. I feel like I get the greatest gifts from what I read, and that has been true since I knew how to read. And I just like to give that to everyone else. I can remember requesting my first library book at the public library before I was in kindergarten. I remember wanting a certain book and it wasn't there, and the librarian got it from somewhere else for me, like magic, the next time I visited. And she gave it to me, and I was so unbelievably excited to read that story over and over and over again. And so if I can do that, that's good. So with the kindergartners and first graders in particular, I want them to begin to see how the experience of that story, why it makes them feel a certain way, what are the pieces that work together for them to have the experience, which seems in a way crazy to have them have the experience and then also look at having the experience. But everything we do in the world we respond because of something. So I feel like if they begin to look at a picture book and say, all those reds and yellows made me excited, then they might be able to extrapolate from that why a certain place makes them feel a certain way, why putting on their favorite shirt might be their favorite shirt. And I love it when they're able to, after we've discussed what an end paper is and how the choice of that paper, or whether there's art or not, or the colors or the texture, sets the stage for that story. Then a few weeks later, when they themselves say, that blue, that made me know it was going to happen at the ocean. And then I know, they've pulled that thread from that discussion a few weeks ago and made a connection themselves. I really want to think more about poetry and where that fits in the experience of library time for the kids, because I think all of us teachers make, saying all, like not just in the school, in the world of teachers, we make a mistake and we isolate poetry and we say, now we're going to study poetry and then you're going to analyze it and look at this. And I think it does a disservice to poetry. So I don't want them to just check out poetry in April and say, oh, it's National Poetry Month. And I want poetry to be a free gift that happens, that's sprinkled through their year. This is a very easy place to work in terms of my getting what I want and growing as a professional. I get to go twice a year to the American Library Association. I learned so much from that. This past year I said I need to go for 5 days because I've been asked to chair a committee and it means this much more. And he says, of course. And I know when I was in Chicago this summer and I was leading my committee, I actually learned a huge amount trying to make this disparate group work. And I know that that comes back to school, but the fact that admin just trusts that that will come back and enrich the way I deal with my colleagues and the way I work with the kids, that's a huge gift. I feel like I can take risks professionally outside of school, and I can take risks with the kids and try something new. And in both cases, I feel like admin will say, keep going, Maeve, see what comes of that. And that's a great pleasure. I really, really appreciate how much people share in the community of adults, what they're thinking, what they're struggling with, what they want help with, what worked really well. I think people are very generous in their approach to the school and the children, and I think it makes a huge difference in how everyone is willing to take risks, try stuff with the kids, and use each other's brain power and empathy, and that I do not want to change. That's easy because I think every single thing is interesting. I do. I mean, that you go to some museum, and I went to this Civil War reenactment one day because I thought the kids would like it. And there was a lady there making lace by hand. And that's what she does, and that's what she knows. And she knows so much about lace. And she was telling me this story about going on a tour with lace makers to the museums of Europe to see certain special pieces of lace. This lace was made in 1650. And that was crazy to me. I never in my life thought, really? There's people that know that? I mean, of course there are people that know that on the one hand, but really? Wow, I never thought of that ever. And it's so interesting. Honestly, it is interesting. I'm not going to be a lace maker, but it's interesting that there is lace in a museum from 1650 that someone would travel to go see. So I feel like every box of books I get from every publisher, there's something in there that I never knew one thing about. That I'm still surprised with every box of books that there's something, how can they still write about something I never heard of? Because I read every day, I read new children's books. And so that's so easy for me because I actually think it is interesting. And so if the kids catch that, then we're golden. Because they will be open to new people, they'll be open to new experiences, and they'll go to college and say, huh, who knew you could take a class about the history of the Russian Revolution through food, and then they'll be open to it. Last spring, the second graders, we read a lot of tall tales and looked at the structure of tall tales. And last week, I had so many more tall tales than we ended up sharing. I let kids choose one from the table and in partners go off and read it to each other in any way they wanted. And I didn't give them instructions about it. I did not also give them instructions about how to pair up. And what I saw in how they paired up and how they then shared those books with each other showed tremendous sensitivity, I thought. The kids were really aware of who's going to be comfortable reading aloud, even to me. They've been in class together all year, so they really know each other well. And I didn't say you have to read evenly, everyone one sentence back and forth. I said just share the stories together. And kids who were less comfortable reading aloud, I watched their partner, one, be super patient with them if they wanted to read aloud, and then if they didn't want to read aloud, pick up the slack without comment. Just read to my partner, because that's a more fun way to share for him right now, is to listen. They were great themselves at balancing that, because reading aloud and admitting how you feel about reading aloud is tough when you're in second grade, in the spring of second grade. But they just slipped into good ways with each other, super gently, no discussion about it. They just did it. Whoever they went and paired with, who was their, they chose because that was a friend, presumably. They did just what that person needed. So it's nice.